the guided missile controversy to Epic ruining a fan-favorite POI, these are the most hated things in Fortnite OG. One of the things all players seem to agree on is that nostalgia makes a season so great, and Season 6 is a big issue. The Quad Crasher has finally returned, with players excited to try it out, only for them to hop on and realize it sucks. Epic has removed flying so you can't boost around in the sky like the good old days. Not to mention, there's a fuel gauge now and no way to refuel it. They even nerfed the power of the ram, so boosting through walls is harder than ever, and players are desperate to see this get fixed. They're also really split over the addition of a non-OG item. This is meant to be 2018 all over again, except we all logged in this week to get ambushed by rift encounters. Strange on its own, but that's when we were handed a grapple glove. It's just an insanely random update, one that caused a ton of controversy. People are torn on whether this is a good thing or a terrible decision, especially since they're even in supply drops. Sure, it's huge for mobility, it will help us traverse the old map, but it's also a chapter 3 item, so let me know how you feel about this in the comments. But I do agree with the anger over the guided missile launcher. Before the season drop, Epic teased Fortnite OG with TikTok videos, and one of them included this shot from the trailer of everyone's favorite weapon. We all got hyped assuming it was returning within days, especially with how popular the weapon used to be. Then Season 5 rolled around and nothing happened. Okay, maybe in the next update, right? No, it's still totally missing from Fortnite, and players are very disappointed. Speaking of the most recent update, as Fortnite switched to Season 6, we wonder what kind of POIs they bring over. Maybe we see the upgrade of Wailing Woods, with all those log cabins, or the iconic Haunted Castle. Well, don't get too excited, because none of it was brought over. In fact, the only map change was at Loot Lake, where Kevin turned into the floating island. It's just kind of disappointing that an entire season was dumbed down to a few guns and one POI. And I think we can all agree we need to have a conversation about bot lobbies. By far one of the biggest problems at the start of the season. Most lobbies were around 80% bots, which meant within a couple minutes, you'd only have 20 real people left with plenty of time to go. Not only does it affect the pacing of real games, every win you get just feels bittersweet. I won't lie, it's nice to not get demolished by tryhards, but you need a good balance sometimes. This problem still hasn't been fixed by Epic, and players are begging for it to improve. Still though, don't get me wrong, the new Fortnite season is incredible. I'm loving every second of it, and the player count speaks for itself. We're just sharing what the community thinks could be improved, so if this becomes a permanent mode, it'll be better than ever, which brings me to the next issue: will this stick around? Well, frankly, we have no idea right now, and that's what's causing the anxiety. We only have a month to enjoy this before it vanishes forever, but now that Epic has seen the amount of players, surely they'll make it an LTM, right? Yeah, it's only 30 days, but at least Fortnite made the battle pass 50 tiers. Way easier to complete now, except there's one problem: it's the same price. Now for the exact same 950 V-Bucks, you get 50% less content, which people are a little confused about. On the other hand though, I don't blame Epic. They basically cut most of the item shop, so they gotta make money somehow, and you're at 1,050 V-Bucks back just for completing the pass anyway. But I do hope they fix zero builds, because right now players are missing out on a ton of content. If you don't like building, you can't use items like spike traps, the mounted turret, campfires, launch pads, even chiller traps. Half of those things don't even count as builds, so why shouldn't they be allowed to place on buildings around the map? Not to mention, if you do play build mode, they're impossible to find, only dropping in llamas and supply drops. Looking at the map as a whole, there are a ton of problems with this OG theme. Soon we'll be heading to Season 7 and 8, except barely anything will change. Sure, Season 7 enjoyers will be happy to see the snow biome return, but it'll be significantly smaller than it was. They're also destroying Polar Peak and completely scrapping Happy Hamlet. As for Season 8 lovers, prepare to be disappointed because the entire jungle biome will be missing. That means barely anything from the map will make it over. No volcano, no vault, just these sad pirate camps scattered around. Considering this was one of the best maps of Chapter 1, it's pretty sad. And sure, maybe you think Season 9 was better anyway. I mean, yeah, we got the final showdown, Neo Tilted, Mega Mall, Slipstreams. It was a crazy time for Fortnite. Oh, what's that? Neo Tilted and Mega Mall are not coming back? Wow. So yeah, the whole thing I said about the volcano being missing also guarantees it won't erupt, meaning Retail and Tilted never get destroyed, which is definitely an interesting decision on Epic's part. Although most of the changes in each update are to the loot pool, they're defining seasons based on their most iconic weapons, so right now we have 6 shooters and dynamite in the game. Sounds cool on paper until you realize how useless they are compared to the rest of the loot pool. 6 shooters are just terrible, and no one's gonna choose dynamite when clingers are an option. Another feature that needs improvement are the vending machines. When we all heard the OG version was coming back, it was incredibly exciting. When things cost gold, barely anyone used them, so switching to mats was perfect. Then we actually got in game and we realized how expensive everything was. Thanks to the 500 material cap, it's super difficult to afford anything because, you lose most of your builds. Then another problem is with the item selection. Most of the options simply aren't worth it. Either they're too easy to find or they straight up suck. If we're talking about things that are easy to find, then I cannot ignore chug jugs. Oh man, at the start start of the season, it was the biggest meme out there. We were basically drowning in them. Everywhere you went, there was like 5 of them, which made 0 sense. It became impossible to find minis or big pots, so you basically had to rely on these. It was so bad, Epic was forced above the shield rate after constant feedback from the community. But even after this, chug jugs are still more common than ever. Reminds me of something else, and nothing is more satisfying than seeing a purple rarity item in the distance, only to get closer and realize it's a rift to go. I mean, come on, these are everywhere, and thanks to their ridiculous spawn rate, anytime you get into a fight, the enemy vanishes in seconds. The escape meta is getting out of hand, especially with the double grappler combo. You can hold as many grapplers as you want, so people just swing away anytime they get into a fight. And it's made worse by the fact you can literally combo a grappler with a double barrel shotgun. It's basically impossible to counter. This thing is incredibly overpowered, and the community agrees it's bad. Now we're only halfway through, but before you know it, we'll blink and suddenly it's the final week Season X. The time is quickly approaching, and once that day comes, it's gonna be a controversial one. It's all thanks to a single reason, the possible return of mechs. And I don't have to tell you how bad these were in 2018. I mean, they have the title of the most hated item in Fortnite history for a reason. Tons of players were forced to quit the game in protest, and now leaks are saying they might return. Obviously, it's only for 1 week, and I don't think it'll be that bad. They have made tons of balance changes since then, so who knows? It could be fun, I'm hoping. Instead, we'd rather use Fortnite's classic items. The only problem is they're way too hard to find. When you think about OG weapons, we're talking P90, Scar, gold pumps, bolt-action snipers, except these are all insanely hard to loot. Most of the time, you only find them if you're eliminating a ton of players, or if you get lucky with supply drops. It's even more insane to find a gold Scar or a legendary tack. I mean, come on, Epic, let us use them before they're gone. A change that's puzzling everyone is over at Tilted Towers. One of the most iconic buildings in this location is right here. People loved it so much, they nicknamed it Trump Tower. It's one of the many buildings that gave us insane nostalgia for Chapter 1, so you wouldn't expect them to change it, right? Well, you've probably seen by now that the famous building is completely absent from the OG season. Pretty bold of Epic to change the most iconic POI in the game, especially during a flashback season, and it only gets weirder. Tilted is gonna remain like this for the rest of the month. No earthquakes, volcano, or Kevin destruction. It's just gonna sit here like a time capsule. And that's not the only change that has us thinking, hey, this isn't OG. It turns out Fortnite completely lied to us in the key art. You know, this one, it's become so iconic that we never realized how wrong it was. Did you notice that Spectre Knight is holding the original pump shotgun from Chapter 1? This got everyone hyped to use the weapon after 5 years of waiting, but when we all loaded in, we were handed the Chapter 2 version instead. Fortnite still hasn't fixed this, and I'm really hoping they address the problem in a future update. If not, then we're using Chapter 2 pumps and tacks in an OG season, which makes 0 sense. There are some decisions which affect competitive players too, like the removal of Siphon. This has been gone from rank for a while now, and it was kind of the only reason a ton of casuals played it. So when OG was revealed, people were hoping to see the return of Siphon, you know, cause it was in the game around the same time back in Chapter 1. Sure, we didn't expect it to come back, but it would have been a nice throwback and make comp feel fresher than ever. And I'll say this, they can't stop the actual players from ruining the OG season. We all know how rough the spam is right now, with enemies spraying you from LMGs, semi-auto snipers, grenade launchers, and constant RPGs. All these weapons don't hurt your teammates, making it easier than ever to spam the heck out of enemies. Now, I doubt Epic's gonna remove any of them, but the community is clearly not happy about the spam meta right now, especially nade launchers. Speaking of annoying, some people are not happy about the constant amount of stink bombs. For build modes, the late game circle could be ruined by people just throwing them over and over again. Super easy to find, even easier to spam. Personally, I don't usually make it this far in build modes, I wouldn't know, but if it really is a problem, hopefully Epic nerfs the spawn rate a little. There's one thing that has seriously improved over the years, it's the amount of time we have to buy a skin. Back in 2018, some outfits were only in the game for like 24 hours and then took years to return. Now Epic is taking this overboard by making every item limited time, even Stranger Things cosmetics. People are terrified thinking that every item shop this season is exclusive for 24 hours, forcing Epic to clarify no, they can totally come back, but we still have no idea when. Some complaints about this season are totally worth it, and others are super nitpicky like that one, and the same could be said for 11 Stranger Things outfit. Personally, I think she looks really cool, and her set is full of detail like the Eggo's emote, her cabin diorama, and Steve Harrington's bad. Others, though, aren't convinced. They wanted Steve and Eddie to be fully fledged skins, or were annoyed that we had collabs so early into a new season. The community was also upset that the Tendrils wrap never returned, making it the only Stranger Things item to remain a Chapter 1 exclusive. I don't really totally get the hate for this one, but I can totally understand the controversy behind this decision though. For one of the first times ever, we didn't get a cinematic for a Fortnite season. Sure, it was pretty obvious how we got here if you played a couple weeks ago, but millions of people didn't come back until now. Even if you're not a storyline fan, some of our most iconic moments came from cinematic trailers. Whether it's Bunker Jonesy turning Peely into a smoothie, Darth Vader helping a stormtrooper get on a roller coaster, or a meteor flying through risky reels, they are essential to hyping up the game. For the OG season to not have one is honestly disappointing, but hey, there's probably a reason for it. Maybe the cinematic artists were just too busy making an insane experience for Chapter 5 in the live event. You gotta look at it both angles. Those are the biggest problems in Fortnite OG brought to us by you, the community. If you disagree or have any other piece of feedback, make sure to leave it in the comments. But anyways, it's been Tommy, and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.